Leon from Move, Texas, an incredible organization that played a very iconic role during the ledge. So, Alan, the mic is all yours. Thank y'all.
Hello, Houston. Hello, Harris County. It is a pleasure to be able to talk with you. I'm trying to figure out where to stand. Okay, I think this is safe. It is a pleasure to be able to talk to you today, Houston and Harris County. My name is Alan Michael De Leon. I'm the Houston Advocacy Organizer for Move, Texas, and I am. This should be good, hopefully. And so, Move Texas, for those who may not be familiar, is a nonprofit, statewide grassroots organization building progressive power with youth communities, with underrepresented communities across the state of Texas. I'm the Houston Advocacy Organizer. I do a lot of work here in the Houston region, designing and executing issue-based campaigns towards executing transformational progressive policies, including in the realm of voting rights. And that's why we're all here today, right? We're here to talk about voting rights. We're here to talk about the state of our democracy, which is a very important topic. You know, the fact that we're here with all of you here today is very important because Harris County, when we're talking about voting rights, perhaps there is no other place where there's more happening, where there's more change happening in the state, and perhaps even in the southern United States than here. When you talk about what happened in the 2020 election, when we talk about the way we expanded and made our election systems more inclusive, and the types of reforms that we were able to do, for example, with the Harris County Clerk, Chris Collins, when we were talking about the work that we were able to do together with grassroots organizations which advocated for a lot of those reforms, including drive-through voting, including 24-hour polling locations, including breaking the record for the amount of early voting locations that we ever had in 2016. In 2016, we had 46 early voting locations. In 2020, we had close to 120 voting locations, and we had them for over a week longer. It used to be 2 weeks. We had it for 3 weeks. Some of those locations were over 24 hours. When you look at the ways in which we expanded vote by mail to as many people as we could. Exactly, that's absolutely right. And so all of the things that we're doing here are not the model for counties throughout the rest of the state. And a lot of that work was done, and it started with conversations at the grassroots level, and so on and so forth. And right now, that work isn't finished. Right now, we're in the middle of designing new campaigns. We're in the middle of.
Oh no!
We're in the middle of designing new campaigns to continue to build on the progress that we have made. For example, the time has come now that we expand voting rights for justice-involved residents because for far too long, people in our jail system have not had the access to be able to vote. And I think that we have an opportunity here through that to be able to expand the voting rights of justice-involved residents in Harris County and continue to lead Texas in voting rights and criminal legal reform. But all of these themes, all of these ideas, I'm just scratching the surface of. We'll have subsequent conversations about this throughout the rest of the evening. So thank you for being here. This is ground zero of the work that we're doing here. It's precisely why the state of Texas is targeting Harris County with their voter suppression bills, because they know that what we're doing here is breaking ground for transformational change in our state. But I'll let the rest of the people talk about what that means for us. So thank you so much.
I'm gonna check this mic. I think y'all can hear me up here. Okay. Fifth Ward is as historic as this day. On this day in 1866, Congress certified or accepted the Senate's version of the 14th Amendment. One section of that granted Black people citizenship in this country. Another section of the 14th Amendment made it illegal for states to implement the Black Codes, which were a separate set of laws that only Black folks had to follow. And the third piece of that prohibited members of the Confederacy from serving in public office. I was in this park with my friends yesterday, and we listened to Art, who is over here somewhere, talk about the history of Fifth Ward. We paid attention to how he described his community, calling it underestimated, not underserved. That was critically important to all of us to accept and recognize. He shared with us the importance of speaking hope into existence. I met Art for the first time in March when Jacqueline, Amatula, and I were coordinating daily water distributions in the community after the freeze. Art was walking his dog and he asked why we were giving out supplies, and he asked who had told us to come. Our answers were simple. We were giving out supplies in Fifth Ward because we saw a need, and no one had to tell us to come. In fact, many elected officials told us to stop showing up. I say all of that to say this. Life presents itself with two options for each of us. We can either be witnesses to the injustice, or we can be foot soldiers for change. Voter turnout for local elections is absolutely tragic at best. One way for young people to become foot soldiers for change is by becoming a Powered by Youth ambassador. Last summer, Powered by Youth teamed up with Beto O'Rourke and his army of volunteers to mobilize young people across the state and help give that record-breaking young voter turnout that Texas has ever seen. We texted over 143,000 young voters in the state. A study by Tough Circle Institute conducted in 2020 found that over 2/3 of all eligible young voters had not been contacted by a political campaign, and that political campaigns spend pennies on the dollar in outreach to Black women. Why is that? Because political campaigns and politicians, like the ones who told us to stop serving this community, do not appreciate our voice. They don't see us as an electoral threat. And you promise me that will change after today. So what can young people do? What can everyone here do right now today to become a foot soldier for change? You'll go over to my left, to that table with Luis, Elizabeth, Kanachi, Mayla, Tanya, who are waving their hands. You will follow us on social media. You will become a Powered by Youth ambassador, and you will register voters in your schools, on your streets, and in your workplace. Lastly, I am asking for you to find it within yourself to run for public office. I ran for Houston City Council the same year that I turned 18, and the same year that I graduated high school. There is someone representing you today, I promise, at the city level, at the county level, at the state level, at the federal level, who does not think it is their duty to advocate for your right to not be harassed and shot by the police in your communities, for your right to access flooding infrastructure in communities like right here in Fifth Ward. They don't believe they have to advocate for your right to vote. So what are we going to do about that? We're going to show up to events like this. It's great when elected officials do this. They come here and they hang out and they shake hands, and then they disappear. And then they tell people who are trying to serve the community to stop showing up. We have to start participating in local elections and in all statewide elections, and you need to run for office. So, today in 1866, Congress certified the Senate's version of the 14th Amendment granting citizenship to Black people. And today in 2021, someone in Finnegan Park has just decided to join Beto's people-powered movement to save our democracy. And someone else, I'm gonna look at each of your eyes, is deciding whether or not they should run for public office. And I'm here to tell you that the answer is yes. Simply existing as a bystander to the injustice is unacceptable. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. When I say all power, you say to the people, all power, all power, all power. And you have it. I want you to know and understand you have the power to make a difference. My name is Angie Annette Thibodeau. I am the Acres Home Super Neighborhood Council President, but I'm also National Director for the PAC called Economic Justice for All. And what we're doing is something that's not unique, but something that we're going to put every piece of grassroots effort in. I just came from a trip up in Tarrant County, which is the Fort Worth area. In Fort Worth area, we put 55 people on the ground to do grassroots efforts. Powered by the people, NACA, Economic Justice for All. We're making sure we put our money where our mouth is, and that's get people activated, educated, and empowered to vote. Empowered to vote. We're bringing forth awareness, access, and change. Why? Because we need to meet people where they are. We're not expecting people to come to us. We're putting the resources on the ground to actually go knocking on doors, making sure people understand what they just did with the current bill. That's not your new condition. That's not your ending circumstance. That's not where you have to be. For every cause, there's an effect. And yes, I am here to tell you that just today, we registered 1,608 people to vote in Tarrant County. Now, here's the caveat to that. Of that 1,608 people we registered, 442 did not have IDs. That is where we, as a people, can continue to educate and make sure people are aware of what's required when it's time to vote. Not only are we educating them in that area, we're also educating them on activating and continuing to do their civic duty. Because so many of us run from jury duty. So many of us run from continuing and participating in our civic duties. But it is in those areas where our vote, our voice matters most. How many of you have run from jury duty or made up a reason to get out of jury duty? Thank you for being honest. It's more than you, believe it or not. But we've all had those circumstances. But we want people to be aware. And then we're wanting to provide access. So this event that we're having here is going to be one of many. We're going to get out into the community, get out into the heart of the community, get out and meet our people where they are to bring forth awareness, access, and change. So powered by the people, I thank you, Pastor Deckard. I'm getting ready to call you because you are the pastor in the hood doing good. So I want you to understand Economic Justice for All is coming to your hood soon. If you have any ideas of how we can manipulate, but matriculate in your area, let us know because the funds and resources are there. We can have events like this and bring people out, get them out, and yes, we'll bring the food and the music, and yes, that's how we get them out. But once we get them out, they'll be over there registering to vote. So that 1,608 is not the end of all things. It is just the beginning. Are you with me? Are you with me? Are you with me? And there it is. That's the day it's on out here.
We the people. We the people. We the people powered by the people. What the enemy did not realize as we get ready to pray, what the enemy did not realize, whenever you try to silence the voice of the people, the voice of God shows up. What the enemy does not realize, when you try to suppress our vote and hold back our voice, Red Seas open up. Jordan Rivers move back. Jericho walls fall down. What am I saying right now? We the people, powered by the people, when we come together on one accord, in one voice, we serve a God that declares if those people ever come together on one accord on the earth realm, there's nothing they cannot do. So what am I saying? When we pray, powered by the people, we the people will move the hands of God, and God will shift the enemy around. What the devil meant for bad, our God will turn to our good. We the people are getting ready to show up We the people are getting ready to speak up. We the people are getting ready to act up because we're getting ready to turn this nation back upside down. Say, we the people. One people. Not divided people. One people. We the people. Our voice shall not be silenced. We the people. Now, Creator of all mankind, we come to you now, declaring you will allow our voice to be heard. Declaring the dream of the dreamers shall not be silenced. We're coming today in a unified front. We're not coming as a divided nation, but we're coming as one nation. We the people, under God. We the people, under God. We the people will not be suppressed. We the people will not be denied. We the people will not be rejected. We the people will not be pushed back. We the people that will not let Jim Crow 2.0 show up in America ever again. We the people that will rise up, show up, and speak up because we the people are powered by the God, the creator of this universe. We shall not be defeated. We are the people and we shall be victorious in the name of our Lord and Savior. We declare victory at every election. We declare this nation shall be swept with a mighty brush of blue. In your name, victory, we the people. God bless you. God bless America. Listen, as I get ready to move to the side, I feel like a big kid at Christmas time. I just had the privilege of going through Greenspoint, Houston with Beto O'Rourke, knocking on doors, and in 30 minutes, we got 8 people in the rest of Greenspoint ready to vote in 30 minutes. When the people come together, we are invincible. We the people! We the people! We the people!
Hey, how's everybody doing? So good to be back with you. Let's hear it for Pastor Deckard and Greenhouse International Church for getting us started the right way. We have so many amazing leaders here to talk to us, to fire us up, to make sure that we're rallied to preserve the right to vote, and that we save this democracy that so many have put their lives on the line to establish and to save. So many have given their lives to preserve going forward. Before we get to that full lineup, I have a very special prize guest that I want to start us out with today. You all may know this, but is it July 22nd? July 22nd in Houston, Texas is Trey Day. Do you all know Trey the Truth, and are you ready to hear from him? Trey the Truth, not only one of the most fantastic musicians and lyricists and rappers to come out of Houston or Texas or anywhere in this country. But when the going gets tough in this state, when the going gets tough in the Gulf Coast, when the going gets tough in Houston, Trey is there. After Hurricane Harvey, he was there to help families who needed it, who were flooded out of their homes. During this last winter freeze, when the energy capital of North America couldn't keep the lights on, or the power running, or the water flowing, Trey the Truth and the Trey gang were showing up at people's homes to literally help to rebuild them. So this man right now is trying to make sure that we do not have to rebuild our democracy, and we save it while we still can. Ladies and gentlemen, Trey the Truth.
Y'all make some noise if you got love for Houston, Texas. Shout out to Beto, shout out to everybody who came out. They know I'm a man of many, really not even many words, you know, like I get up here and say what I say, but I speak from my heart. My main thing, I received a call that said that they're thinking about, you know, taking away the rights of a lot of us to be able to vote. I think, man, with a lot of things that I've been doing as far as fighting on the front line for a lot of people who've been victims of injustice and everything else, it's like they continuously take the rights away. You know, it's like whatever makes people feel uncomfortable, they be like, okay, we don't like it, let's get rid of it. Well, right now, I feel like it's very important for us to have that right to vote because there's certain people in position, there's certain people who are in office, certain people who are in high places that's not concerned with the real reality of what's going on in life. So I always feel since, and I'm gonna be honest, probably maybe within the last 2 years, I really got heavy into trying to get people to vote. We did voters drives where we actually allowed felons to come. They didn't even have the knowledge of knowing that they were able to vote. And I don't know if y'all know this last vote campaign with the presidential election and everything, that was one of the highest numbers ever. So it goes to show that we have power in the people. And when it comes to the people, they go on the front line for the people. So anything I can do to fight for the people, I'm here. So it's very important if anybody tries to strip us of that right or take away from us or not even give us the option to decide if we want to vote or if we don't want to vote, I feel I have to get up there and fight for that, because we have to decide who's in our best interest, who's in our best kids' interest, who's in our grandkids' interest. It's very important that we able to vote and we're able to have the people in the right places, the right positions to do the right thing. Because if they're not doing right by the people, they don't need to be there, point blank period. But again, as I say, man, I just want to let y'all know, as far as when it comes to Houston, Texas, or anybody that's been through any type of things or been stripped of anything wrongfully, they know I'm going to be on the front line fight for it. So as of today, until the end of time, we're going to continue to fight. We're not letting nobody strip us of vote. If nobody can tell us what we can and we can't do, we're going to get out there and we're going to do exactly what we need to do to take care of our own. Houston, Texas, I love y'all, man.
All right, let's hear it for Trey the Truth. Yeah. All right. Next guest. Actually, I'm his guest. I'm here in his city. We're about to hear from someone who not only is in a position of power and public trust, but is willing to use that position to speak truth to the other power in this community. When SB 7, this god-awful voter suppression bill, was being considered in the state legislature, when SB 7 which was going to take a state that is already the toughest in which to vote and to register to vote, after they closed hundreds of polling places, after they imposed a racial gerrymander on this state, after they put in place the most onerous voter ID laws in the country, and they were going to make it even harder by ending Sunday morning voting and souls to the polls, by giving Texas the right to overturn elections going forward, by making it harder for those in Houston, especially those with a disability, to be able to cast a ballot. Mayor Turner didn't just speak out about it, but he asked others to do the same, and he and the county judge, Lina Hidalgo, stood up to the Greater Houston Partnership to make sure that everyone's voice is heard and every vote is counted. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Sylvester Turner.
Thank you so very, very much. Look, give it up to Beto O'Rourke. Give it up to her. Let me just start off by thanking you for your incredible leadership. And then give it up to all of these elected officials that are here. Give it up to all of them. But most importantly, let me salute each and every one of you, because the power vests in the people themselves. And so I want to thank each and every one of you for coming, for speaking, for standing up, for fighting, for advocating. Let me just say that voting is essential. It's pretty much everything, because elections count, the people who we vote in matters, and it all starts with voting. It's just essential. And if there's any right we're going to stand up and fight for, it's the fundamental right to vote. That's what's important. As the mayor of the people, I want to thank those legislators who, while I was watching around 11 midnight, the end of May, I'm a former legislator. I could not be more proud of those legislators who walked away to keep Senate Bill 7 from passing. Give it up to those legislators who stood up for our rights and making sure that Senate Bill 7 did not pass. You can do better than that. Give it up to those legislators. Let me say this, and I'm going to get out of the way. Neither one of my parents graduated from high school, but what they did do is that they voted. I don't care whether it rained, whether it poured down. I don't care how hot it was. They made certain that they were going to vote, and they voted pretty much in every election. And they encouraged all of their kids when they grew up to participate in the election process. And a lot of people have fought, bled, and died in order to make it possible for us to be voting right now. This is not the time on our watch for us to go back to Jim Crow days of yesterday. This is not the time. Now, I know that there are certain leaders who talk about this was Senate Bill 7 was about voter integrity. Well, let me just say this. If it's about voter integrity, you don't do it at midnight. You do it in the light of day. If it's about voter integrity, you don't make it easier to overturn an election and then disavow that you had anything to do with it. That provision didn't get in Senate Bill 7 on its own. Somebody put it there. You don't lower the standard from clear and convincing to preponderance of evidence and make it easier for any judge to overturn an election and call that voter integrity. That's not what it is. You don't allow partisan poll watchers to intimidate people while they're voting and call that voter integrity. Those are things that this state must not be allowed to see to come into reality, and it's up to you and me and everybody else to make that happen. And lastly, let me just say this. It is not just a fight for African Americans and Hispanics and Asians and people of color. It's not just a fight for Democrats, but Republicans also should be a part of this. Because when you move to restrict, intimidate, and suppress the ability of people to vote, that's not partisan. That's just damn right wrong. And we need to call it for what it is. And so, I want to thank those legislators who walk in out. Now, if the governor should bring it back, I want him to know we'll be back as well. And if the governor should veto Article 10 that tries to punish or take away the pay of these legislators because they stood up for our rights, then we need to raise the money and give them back their money. And then we need to make it very clear. There is no absolute power. We don't have a king as governor. We just have a governor that runs every 4 years. But the point is, we must protect people's right to vote. It starts right now, right here, and if it comes back, we'll be back. And if our chance get passed, we'll see him in the courthouse as well. Thank you, and keep it rolling.
Mayor Turner, yeah. Listen, to my friends who serve in the State House, I wonder if you would come up for a second. State Rep Marianne Perez, State Rep Cristina Morales, State Rep Jarvis Johnson, and State Rep Ann Johnson. Could you come up here? Come up right here. Come up right here. Everybody take your cell phones out, take a picture of them, and post this on social media. These are the heroes that we want to recognize. Their act of courage, their political struggle, their sacrifice purchased us some time. Not only did they stop SB 7, but they drew the eyes of this country upon Texas, and I hope they gave those Democrats in the Senate who actually have a majority some backbone to use it going forward to pass voting rights legislation. You are our heroes. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Now, while the legislature was in session, if you were like me and you were having a hard time sleeping,
you would turn on the live stream from the House floor or the Senate floor just to check in on what was happening. The night before the last night of that session, you were able to watch the Senate of your state, Democrats and Republicans, debate SB 7 that had just been amended with 20 new pages added at the last minute that no member of that institution had an opportunity to read before they were asked to vote on them. I was taken aback as I watched that live stream from the floor of the state Senate to hear our next speaker, Senator Carol Alvarado, question the Republican author, hold him to account, and bring some light and ultimately some justice upon the issue. Ladies and gentlemen, Senator Carol Alvarado.
Thank you, Beto. We thank Beto O'Rourke for this. He hasn't stopped running, ladies and gentlemen. We hope he doesn't. Thank you, thank you, thank you. H-Town, thank you. Listen up, y'all. Our democracy is on the line. Now tell me this. Do you think that this process was done in a very transparent way? No. We took this bill up, Commissioner Ellis. You remember those nights? At 10 o'clock at night, in the middle of the night, when people aren't watching, except Bethel. Till 6:30 in the morning, our Democratic senators went toe-to-toe with Republicans and debated the bill. Now, see, we had a plan that we were going to filibuster, but they suspended the rules just like that and changed it. It changed the game. And so I want to thank our House representatives for doing what they did, breaking quorum and getting us to where we are today. My studios back there. And that just goes to show you, it takes all of us. It takes the business community. Our state will have a black eye on it if this bill passes. And that affects our economy. So we are grateful to Mayor Turner and others who are pushing the business community to stand up, to stand with us on this fight. Now we know what this was about. The big elephant in the room was Harris County. Our leaders in Harris County got it right. They put a process in place so that people could vote comfortably from their car. They could vote in the middle of the night if they were shift workers. And guess what? It wasn't just Democrats that took advantage of this. I went district by district. Paul Bettencourt's district, Joan Huffman's district. They had thousands of people that voted in the 24-hour period or the drive-through. So if I'm them, I'd be very careful what I'm threading on. And we were voting in the middle of the night. So it's okay for us to vote in the middle of the night, but they don't want you to vote in the middle of the night. How about that for hypocrisy? And then the new pieces of this bill that they put in without us having any warning. Now they're saying some of those were typos. Come on. You want to limit voting? Voting cannot occur before 1 o'clock in the afternoon. No more souls to the polls. We know what they're targeting. We know who they're targeting. So listen up. The fight will continue. We need you to join us at the Capitol. We need you to show up, be loud, and make sure that the rest of our state knows what is happening right now, right here. We need your help because we have got to stop this. We know we will be in the courts. Once again, Texas will be front and center when it comes to voter suppression and limiting our rights to vote. Why don't we have online voter registration, a bill that I have been filing for 5 sessions? They don't want us to vote. So stand with us. We will make you proud, and we will continue to fight for your right to vote. Thank you.
All right, Carol Alvarado, fighting for you every single day, fighting in the next special session. Let's make sure that we all have her back. All right, while the Republicans in the state legislature, while the governor of the state of Texas, we're all trying to make it harder for all of us to vote, participate in our politics, register in the first place, there was one county that truly distinguished itself, and it's this one right here. Harris County invested millions of dollars in making it easier for people to vote. And one of the critical leaders in that effort is our next speaker, County Commissioner Rodney Ellis. Ladies and gentlemen, Rodney Ellis.
Thank you, Beto. Thank you, Beto. You know, I met Beto O'Rourke when he was still in the U.S. House. He came to visit with me and he said, I'm thinking about running for the United States Senate. And then he said, do you think I can win? I gave him a line I got from Jesse Jackson back in '83. I said, Beto, if you run, you might lose. Beto, if you don't run, we do lose. Now you think about what happened. All of the focus is on West Virginia. It's on Joe Manchin. Can you imagine if Beto O'Rourke had been in the United States Senate? Now I say that because our great House members did the best that they could do. Some people ask, well, why would they walk out? In the words of Fannie Lou Hamer, they were sick and tired of being sick and tired, so they got the hell up and walked out. House members, I was at a graduation ceremony this morning. I'm an old man, I've been this a long time. My daughter was coming out of high school. Some of you follow politics? 2003. The House members in the Texas House broke the